Let's bring in former Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta. It's good to have you back, Mr. Secretary. We don't know the condition of the plane's crew, but as I mentioned, MS Now reports that American officials have launched that search and rescue operation. Obviously, potentially hostile territory, especially since incentives are being offered to the people of Iran if they find them, to turn them in. Talk about what you know about what might be going on right now, Mr. Secretary.
Well, Chris, I think first and foremost, there's a fundamental rule in the military that you do not leave people behind. So we have to make every effort possible to be able to rescue these pilots. And I'm sure there's a search mission going on, a rescue and search mission that's going on right now as we speak, trying to determine where they are and whether or not we can locate them, and then to do everything we can to try to rescue them. This is dangerous stuff. It's very risky. You're in the middle of an adversary during a time of war, and so whatever we use to conduct the search and rescue operation is going to be targeted by the Iranians. So we're at a moment, really, where we don't know, obviously, what's going on. We don't know where the pilots may or may not be. But I can assure you of one thing. Everybody in the U.S. who's there in that area knows that you cannot leave our people behind to be captured by the Iranians.
What are the complications you see, the biggest challenges for these very highly trained, very specialized teams who are going in to try to find those pilots?
Well, we continue to be informed about Iran's capabilities despite the continuing attacks by our forces. They have the ability, obviously, to continue to fire missiles. They have the ability to be able to provide some protection for their country. And so I think the bottom line is we really don't have the kind of intelligence and information about the capabilities that they do have. And that's what you have to keep in mind when you then are conducting a mission like this. You can't assume that somehow we have total air superiority. You can't assume that somehow we will have overwhelming force. The reality is that they may very well have a military patrol in the area right now, looking obviously for those pilots. So the important thing is, do not underestimate the ability of the enemy to be able to respond. But at the same time, we do have overwhelming force. We have overwhelming capabilities. These search and rescue teams are well trained to move quickly. And right now, speed, more than anything else, speed is critically important to make sure that we move as quickly as we can with whatever intelligence we may or may not have, move quickly to try to locate those pilots and then move quickly to rescue them. We may need to have a lot of military capability for this kind of rescue to happen, to make sure that our men and women are protected. And so for that reason, I think all of us need to understand that whatever happens there is extremely risky, extremely dangerous, and could involve additional casualties.
So what kinds of conversations are going on within the walls of the Pentagon and presumably also involving the commander-in-chief?
Well, the most important thing right now is for the leadership at the Pentagon to be in touch with our forces that are there, either operating in Iran or operating outside of Iran, and be in touch with just exactly what is the intelligence showing? What do we know? Because if we're going to send a search and rescue team in, it's like everything else. You need good intelligence. So whether we're operating drones, whether we're looking at the area from space, one way or another, we've got to gather quick and immediate intelligence. What does that intelligence tell us? And then based on that intelligence, you have to quickly develop an operation that goes in and accomplishes the principal objective, which is not to leave any of our pilots behind. That's very important right now.
This downing of the U.S. fighter jet, Mr. Secretary, comes as Pete Hegseth is in the middle of a major shakeup at the Pentagon. As I'm sure you know, he fired the Army's top uniformed officer, General Randy George, who served as the Army's chief of staff. The New York Times reports that the move, quote, reflects growing hostility between Hegseth and the Army's leadership. Now, nobody is suggesting this will have any impact on any moves that are made in terms of the safe return of those Americans. But overall, in a time of war, what does it mean if the Secretary of Defense has such a troubled relationship with a critical branch of the military?
Well, it creates risks and questions about our ability to operate. I think that, without question, our military is the best in the world. They're the best trained and the most capable. And I have complete and total confidence in their ability to do this kind of mission and in their ability basically to conduct this war. But it doesn't help when at the same time that you are at war, the Secretary is undermining the leadership at the military. I think it makes a lot of sense to be able to continue to rely on those leaders who are in place because they are experienced, because they have the respect of the men and women that they command, and because they know what needs to be done. And if you're moving the leadership around at a time of crisis, you're basically weakening your ability to be able to respond quickly with a great deal of experience, with a great deal of capability, and with the kind of dedication that our military has. I think this is a time when he should be relying on our military leaders, not kicking them out.
We just got some breaking news, so let me ask you about this, Secretary Panetta. This is from Julia Jester, our reporter at the Pentagon. One F-15E crew member has been rescued. Search operations are still underway for the second. Now, thank God, we have one crew member who is safe. That's according to two U.S. officials we've spoken to. But this is specifically what I want to ask you about. The other crew member of the two-seat fighter jet is still missing and has been declared Dust One, meaning duty status, whereabouts unknown. What else does that tell us?
It tells us that we really don't know where that pilot is located and whether that pilot is even alive. It's very good news that we've been able to rescue one of those pilots, because that tells us that we have some pretty good intelligence about where that individual was located and our ability to be able to go in quickly and rescue that individual. What it does do is raise concerns that if the other pilot is not in the same region, that pilot right now is much more difficult to locate in terms of what has happened. So we just have to keep our fingers crossed that we continue to get good intelligence. We've already rescued one pilot. We ought to have the capability to go in and try to determine, hopefully, where the other pilot may be located.
I should read one more sentence from this statement that was given to us for context, that this indicates the U.S. military does not have reason to believe at this time that the second U.S. service member has been captured. Can they say that at this point with any degree of certainty?
Not really. I don't think we know. I don't think we know. If the Iranians have in fact captured them, they're going to hold that pretty tight to make sure that that it doesn't leak and that they then make maximum propaganda use of that individual. So we really don't know. We really don't know. This is a war situation. There are a lot of things going on. It's very difficult. I've always found when it comes to these kinds of operations that it's very difficult to have a sense of just exactly what's happening. You know, you can be in touch. You can even use drones to try to figure out what they're doing. But the reality is that only the people who are there in the air, on the ground, they're the ones that know what's happening. And they're the ones we have to rely on to exercise the experience that they've been trained to implement. They're the ones that are in charge of what happens or doesn't happen.